Today we are joined by a top-tier realtor whose remarkable journey in real estate stands out for its strategy, vision, and relentless pursuit of excellence. With a reputation for closing multi-million-dollar deals, navigating competitive markets, and delivering exceptional client experience, she has become a true powerhouse in the real estate world. Today, we'll be focusing on mindset, habits, and strategies that have made her one of the most sought-out professionals in the industry. Get ready for an insightful conversation filled with expert advice, behind-the-scenes stories, and practical tips that can elevate anyone's game, whether you are in real estate or not. So let's give a warm welcome to our today's guest, Sindee, as we dive into a conversation filled with expertise, insights, and real estate mastery. Hello, Sindee. It's a real honor to have you on our show today.
Thank you.
But before we dive into more details, can we know about your early life, where you came from, your childhood days, or what background days?
Absolutely. So I'm Canadian. I was born in Toronto, actually. My mom is from Guyana, but her parents were, her mom was Pakistani and her father was from Bangladesh, but they're Guyanese. My father is from Fiji, but I didn't really know my father growing up. It was just me and my mom. She was a single mom. And I grew up in, the earlier parts of my life were in Jane and Finch. And we lived in government housing, just me and my mom. And she was probably one of the hardest working women I've ever known. She's had 3 jobs for as long as I know. And through that, she started a business with her sister. They started a donut shop. It's called Donut Corner. And that was probably when I was about 10 years old. And so from then until I was about 12, all we did was eat, sleep, and talk about donuts. And, and how, it was me going to the donut shop. I worked at the donut shop. We slept at the donut shop. It was a lot. But through that, she was able to purchase a home. And she bought her first home when I was 12 years old. We bought a house in Woodbridge, and it was just me and my mom. And once we moved there, me and my mom, I love my mom, but it was tough. we bumped heads. And so by the time I was 16, I was on my own. And but through that all, I stayed in school and I went to university and I did my thing. When I was 19, I met my husband and moved in with him. And then here we are. So since then, I got married I got engaged when I was 21. And then I got married when I was 24. And now, then I had my first child when I was 25. And now we have 2 kids. My daughter is 14 and my son is 10.
Wow.
Yes.
So that donut store, is that your mother set it up, or is that a franchisee kind of thing?
So my mom had started, it was called Donut Corner. So they
it's a franchise.
It wasn't a franchise. It was standalone sort of business. It later developed into Donut Corner and restaurant. So they started doing catering of West Indian food, fried rice, chow mein, and things of that nature. And that's.
So what happened to that now? Is it done?
Well, she got bought out from that partnership. And it's no longer in existence, unfortunately. But I feel like it served its purpose for my mom because it gave her the sort of start that she was hoping for. So, and it allowed her to purchase her home.
Yeah, you said you did work in the shop?
I did.
How about your schooling then?
I would go to school, but on the weekends I'd be there. I'd work every single weekend. Yeah, because I was like 10, right? So what are you in grade? You're grade 6, I think it was a grade 5 when it started. But we moved at the end of grade 6. So I started grade 7 in Woodbridge, which was very difficult because Woodbridge was predominantly an Italian area, and being someone of color, it was a journey. There was like 5 people of color in that school in my grade. So it was a journey. Yeah.
Yes. So it is an Italian community, and your mother set up a shop.
No, my mom moved there. We had the donut shop. The donut shop was in Brampton.
Oh yeah, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah. But no, the donut shop is no more.
So do you like donuts?
You know what's so funny? One of the best memories that I have is when we'd close down the donut shop and we'd have to throw the donuts out. I'd take a bite of every single donut and then throw it out. But
nice.
No, I love donuts.
So you're alone? Or you have any siblings or something?
Well, yeah. Later in life, my mom had a son. I was 19 when he was born. So he's more like my son, really. And my mom has actually passed away now. She passed away last year.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I helped take care of my brother.
Yeah. So you are still in contact with your brother, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He lived with me for a while. And but we've moved. So we decided that it would make more sense for him to live closer to school because he goes to school in Waterloo. So
Now. Okay.
Yeah. So he has his own place in Waterloo, and he's doing great. He's in his 3rd year of I think it's like honors chemistry he's taking. Yeah.
Oh, into chemistry. Okay.
Yeah.
So after your schooling, where you completed your college or university?
Yeah. So my first career was as a law clerk. So I initially actually wanted to get into law and become a lawyer. That was something that I was really passionate about. But seeing as how life kind of threw me a curveball with being on my own and then getting engaged when I was so young, I kind of figured maybe I'll become a law clerk and gain life experience and then go to law school through life experience because you can apply as a mature student. But then after I worked there, I realized what it took to become a really great lawyer, which was really long hours and a complete devotion to the firm. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I really want to have a family. I'm lying. Children were not important to me. I did not want any children, but I wanted to have a family. I wanted to, have time with my husband and do things like that. And I saw what the life was. It's the lawyers that I worked with. The lawyer that I worked with, I hope he never hears this, but
Didn't mention any name.
But he was the one that made me feel like, no, this is not what I want. He used to sleep there. He would live off of like 3 and 5 energy drinks, and it was insane. I love the law, and I loved being in that atmosphere and working downtown and just being in that atmosphere. Like I love the law, and I love helping people and finding ways to help people. And so it was something that I enjoyed, but I don't know that I was ready for that sort of commitment at that point in my life. So I was just like, forget it. I worked as a law clerk for 10 years. And then after I had my second child, my husband's grandfather got really sick. And he essentially just came to stay with us because nobody else would take care of him. so I was like, okay, because I'm just that person, right? So He came to live with us, and I had to figure out how I was going to make it work with 2 kids and now an elderly person. So I actually started doing lashes. I started doing lash extensions. And it was actually through that I started to feel a little bit more confident about being going into real estate, because real estate was always something that I had at the back of my mind that I really wanted to do. But the uncertainty of commission and not knowing where your next paycheck was going to be, and like I just felt like it was an unstable sort of environment, and I am a very I need security. So, but it was through doing lashes that I realized, and just being an entrepreneur, that your business will give you as much as you put into it. So it was through doing lashes that I actually started feeling more confident to pursue real estate, because the lashes, it boomed. It was more than I thought that it could ever become, because I started doing lashes. I started getting booked for 2 months in advance, and then I was like, okay, I have something here. So then I started teaching, and I would average about 15 students a week and doing lashes. So it was super lucrative, but it just wasn't very academic. And so I felt like it wasn't my long-term plan, because I really just fell into it. And so once I got into probably my 3rd year of doing that, I was like, okay, I need to do something else. This is brainless. I feel like I'm dying inside. So that's when I started pursuing real estate.
But yeah, we'll go back a little.
Yeah.
So you said you worked as a law clerk.
Law clerk, yeah.
Right? But your major reason?
I actually took a course to become a paralegal.
Okay.
And so I completed the paralegal course, but then it was very difficult to get a job as a paralegal initially. So I opted for a law clerk. Well, actually, my first job was a legal secretary. And then that was horrible. And then I found a job as a law clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you said how did you meet your husband first place?
My husband, I met him the first time I met him was when I was 15, and I was in night school. And I met him there at night school when I was 15. We didn't really start dating or anything like that. We were friends. And it wasn't until I was about 18 that we really started talking, but then we didn't really start dating until I was about 19.
Yeah, you said you have Indian background, right? And he's from Pakistan, or vice versa?
No, so he is, his mom is from Pakistan and his dad is Punjabi.
Okay, so he's Punjabi, basically.
Yeah,
So
basically.
you met a Punjabi guy.
Yeah. And you know the funniest thing was that I was like, I will never marry an Indian. But in all fairness, I didn't know that he was Indian, because he hung around with a lot of West Indians and Jamaicans, and I had no idea that he was Indian. And he was the only one in his little friend group that was Indian. So I was like, no, he's West Indian for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know, and I never asked, oddly enough.
So you said, I know, at least from what you said, you had a very incredible journey, let's say career-wise.
Yeah.
At the beginning, at the young age, you are a owner of a restaurant for a donut shop. Maybe you're a worker at the donut shop, and then you started working in the as a secretary in the law firm, and then you became a clerk in the law firm.
Yep.
You have a teacher, an academic, not fully academic, but you are tutoring or educating students,
Right.
and then you are also doing, finally into real estate, right? And out of all this, at any moment up until now, have you ever thought about opening a donut shop?
I haven't. I haven't. But the truth is that we actually did go through a period where we're like, wouldn't it be a great opportunity to open up a Tim Hortons franchise?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that we actually had looked into. My mom later on in life I want to say that it was probably 6 or 7 years ago, she was exploring that option. Because she had the experience, right? She had ran a donut shop, and then after that, she had different food service related jobs. And but no, on a serious note, for me personally, no. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started with real estate, right? So obviously, when switching or starting with a new career, there are going to be new learnings and some challenges or obstacles or whatever the word you can put in front of you. There is a journey at the beginning where it is going to take a lot of time and effort to learn the new concepts of the industry where it is about to start. And I don't know much about real estate, but I would assume pretty much most people don't know the nuances of real estate, right? So what happened when you started with real estate, and was there any obstacle really for you to continue on this?
Well, from the beginning, to be honest, when I first started, even just thinking about studying, because mind you, as I had mentioned, I started the lash business and it boomed. I was booked for 2 months in advance. I was teaching about, probably realistically 3 days a week I was teaching, and 3 students a week, or in each class. So 9 students a week I'd have. So it was managing that full-time business plus trying to study. Plus I have a family. And at that time, my son was really young. So, and he wasn't going to daycare or anything like that. It was just me and my husband trying to manage all the children on our own. So it was difficult. It actually took me 2.5 years to complete all of the courses. And unfortunately for me, RIA had changed everything during the course of me doing it. So it started as 3 exams. And then because I had failed one of the exams, which I'll tell you why that happened, in the midst of me failing, they changed it, and you then had to take 5 courses. So I failed right in time to now have to take 5 courses. So it was a lot. It was a lot to try to manage a full-time business, a family, and then studying. It was very, very challenging. But before I even started, and the reason why I even pushed through all of that was I prayed about it for a very long time before I even pursued it. Because for me, going into anything, I have to make sure that this is the direction that God wants me to go in. And so I got a lot of confirmations from God that this is what He wanted me to do. So I was like, okay, well, I've got to do this then.
So that means, do you have any idea of doing any other, so you thought of doing any other business or other than real estate, right?
No, I didn't. For me, it was just, if I was going to quit lashes, which was very lucrative, I had to make sure that real estate was something that was the direction that God wanted me to go to.
But why only real estate? Right.
Because I knew that if I was going to switch careers at any point, that would be the switch. And if it wasn't going to be that, then I would have stayed with lashes and or went back to the law. So it wasn't, I'm like a creature of habit. I don't really like new, but if I'm going to do new, I need to make sure that this is right. So I have to try to be as calculated as I can. Because again, I like stability, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I prayed for a very long time to make sure that this was the direction I should go to. But,
so how did you come to that realization that you have to come to, like you said, you got some answers from God, right? Like,
right.
How is that?
So I prayed about it for a really long time. And So during the course of me doing lashes, of course, I talked to my clients, and I had one client who said to me that she actually was, she worked in marketing, and she was the marketing director for a brokerage. And she said to me that the newer agents in their brokerage, what they do is they pick an area and they farm the area. So what that means basically is that they'll go into the area, knock on some doors, introduce themselves as the local agent, and that's kind of what they would do. So I was like, oh, that's great. I've never had anybody knock on my door and do things like that. I think that's a really great idea. And so, that conversation happened. And when I moved to my second home, I had a real estate agent that helped me. And I thought that he was just really great. And he was someone who was really well known in my community. So I had told myself that if I ever pursued real estate, he would be the one that I would go to. I'd want to join his team or just go under his guidance because I thought that he was really great at what he does. So when I started to pray about whether I should be pursuing this, I was like, one day I was just like, God, I really need some direction. I would really love if you give me some sort of confirmation that this is what you want me to do. And I was just at a point where I just felt like I needed answers. I wasn't getting any answers. I wasn't getting any direction. And it was at that point, I was really on my knees and crying about it. And so that day, I had a realtor knock on my door and introduce herself as a local real estate agent. And for me, I was like, wow, I've never had anybody do that. And I remember speaking with that lady about this just the other day. And I felt like, okay, maybe this is a sign. But it wasn't a strong enough sign for me. So I prayed about it again. And I was, again on my knees and just like, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? And that day I had the real estate agent who had helped me, who hadn't contacted me in 3 years for anything, just call me and say, hey, Sindee, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, okay, we just want to make sure you're good. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And that was it. That's all they said. And so I was like, I feel like that's a sign because that was the brokerage and the team that I wanted to join. And they were just calling me out of the blue for nothing on the same day that I prayed to say, show me a sign. So for me, that was enough now to know that this was the direction that God wanted me to go in.
Cool. And during initial stages, when there were challenges, what made you to continue in real estate?
It was honestly just knowing that this is my life, this is the direction God wants me to go to and go in. So there is no plan B. And I feel like with anything you pursue, if you really want it and this is what you want to have work in your life, then there cannot be a plan B. It's you knowing that this is what it is and you have to get through it and get it done. So, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes plan B is to make the plan A work.
Right. Exactly. I feel like that is actually one of the core things of my business is not having a plan B and not having a safety net because it gives you a different type of drive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a good advice for everybody, not to have a plan B.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually a part of my journey as well. I had, when I first started in real estate in my first year, it was horrible. I had no sales and no prospects. And through prayer, I realized God was trying to tell me that I needed to take away my safety nets and I needed to completely rely on Him. And it was only until I completely dropped my lashes, because it was very difficult for me to let go of it. It was just so lucrative that I didn't want to completely let it go, right? I stopped doing lashes, but then I continued to teach. And then God was like, no, you need to completely rely on me and have faith that I will provide for you. So I did. and I stopped doing lashes completely, teaching everything. And for the first couple of months, it was still really bad, but then it just started to flow. And it was what I think through my journey of even when I was studying, it was a lot of lessons I feel like God was really trying to show me, which was the only way for me to have this work is if I'm working at it and if I'm putting the time into it. And it was one of my coaches who actually said to me, if you were an employee of yourself, what would you think of you? And that's when I really had to self-evaluate to say, okay, what am I doing every day that is really working at my business and helping myself grow? And I don't remember what my point was, but
So do you still remember your first client?
I do. His name was Greg, and he was my first listing. And Greg was great, actually. He lied to me because he said that he was going to sell his house and then purchase, and he didn't. He just sold his house. But it didn't really matter to me because, at the end of the day, it all kind of came together. He was he was really interesting to work with because he didn't want just anybody to own his house. And I've never actually met anybody since him like that said to me, I don't want someone coming in here and just renting my whole house. Like, I love this house. I put this house together with my hands. I did so many renovations. I care about who this is going to.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my first listing.
How did you get? How much time it took for you to, after you got license, how much time it took for you to meet Greg?
Greg?
That's a funny name, by the way, Greg. Not okay, anyways. Yeah.
Greg, that wasn't actually his real name. I can't pronounce his real name.
Okay.
But it was a year and I want to say 4 months. Yeah, it was a long time.
Wow, so your first sale is after a
year and 4 months.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And in between, you were just quit your lashes or you still continue? Oh, okay.
I was still doing lashes, and that was the problem, right? So it was in the first full year after that I was like, what am I doing? It's been a year. I have no sales. And I was with Remax, and their desk fees are expensive. So I was just like, what am I doing? And then I just quit the lashes. I ended up moving to EXP and meeting my now business partner, who was then my mentor, and just saying, okay, no, that I need to join EXP. I love Will and his energy, and so he really helped me pick my business up off the ground. Yeah.
And after that, when is your second sale? Is there any gap or it just
my second? No, that year I had, I want to say 6 transactions, which wasn't bad because I felt like that was kind of like my first year. And then it was after that, it was in my second year when things really took off. And I had 22 transactions in that.
Wow.
Yeah.
22. I heard somewhere that usually a newcomer will sell, or 90% of the real estate realtors will sell 3 or 4 houses in a year.
Yeah.
To the max.
Yeah.
Is that true or is that?
Well, that's some BS to me. I can't support a family on that. So I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 a month. So, but no, it is true. It's unfortunate, but the average realtor, I think, makes like 40 to 50,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. Because most people are quitting really after the first couple of years, and I think it's like a 90% failure rate or something like that. And people usually quit after the 3rd year. So,
yeah, I thought of writing the exam for real estate like in 2021. Me and another friend, He got his license, by the way.
Oh.
And somebody told me that, you know what, about 90% of people sell only one house, and I'm pretty much sure you cannot. It's very hard. You're working somewhere else, right? I was like, okay. So I don't
I don't feel bad.
Yeah. But now I'm thinking to go into real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's not a bad industry or a bad job, if I'll be honest with you. I think it just really takes persistence, right? You can't think that things are going to fall into your lap. Like, you've got to work at it every single day, and it's all about time management and making sure that you're doing money-making activities every single day.
By the way, how did you meet Greg?
Greg? It's the weirdest thing. Greg just called me out of the blue. And I was like, Greg, how'd you get my number? He's like, my sister gave it to me. I'm like, who's your sister? He's like, does it really matter? I'm like, why are you being cryptic, Greg? Just, I need to know. I need to track these things. He's like, Sindee, I got your number. Are you going to sell my house? I'm like, yeah. And that's where we left it.
Yeah, getting first client is very hard, eh?
Yeah. And I'll never forget my second client who actually didn't pay me.
Wow.
Because their house ended up going power of sale and there was no money. So I actually ended up in a deficit because I paid for photos and had a staging consultation. I'll never forget the second one.
And after that, your market just picked up? Is that just more word of mouth, or you have some other?
So no. Like I said, I felt like in order for me to find the success that I did was through persistently working at my business. So what that meant for me and how I found my success really was through Kijiji. And because when I started lashes, I was using Kijiji. And there was a lot of hard lessons that I learned through that as well. God is good. And he taught me very, very well. And I'm glad that I did learn that way, because what it showed me was that, because what he showed me was that I need to be working at my business every single day. So what that meant for the lashes was that I would post in the morning and post in the evening every single day, which would bring me clients. And then with the real estate, I just started doing the same thing. I just started posting on Kijiji. So I'd post like 10 posts a day. Mm-hmm. And it started to pick up. So I would post and then I would call my leads every single day. And that's what got me the 22 transactions that year. So I just continued to do that into the second year. And it was great. It worked. I then started to pay for like Google pay-per-clicks and just doing like diversifying the types of leads that I was doing. And that was great too, because I didn't mention, but I also did telemarketing. So I was a telemarketing manager for 6 years. That was my second job. As I worked as a law clerk, I would do 9 to 5 was law clerk, 6 to 9 was telemarketing. And so I feel like because I did telemarketing for as long as I did, falling into this was easy.
Can you explain that telemarketing? What is that? Maybe you have some use for us too.
Yeah.
So I worked for a windows and doors company. It was called Loyal Seal Windows and Doors. And I would call people to ask them if they wanted a free estimate on their windows or doors. So the script was, we're going to be working on your street next week. Would you want us to come by to give you a free estimate? And that's basically it. So the incentive was that if you made, I think it was like 10 leads, you get like a bonus. So I was making those 10 leads every single shift until I got promoted. And then I was the manager.
But how do you reach out to the people, and like how do you contact them?
So the company had a list that they would purchase every single year, and it went into like a call system. So there was about 11 computers, and they would download it into the computer, and they had an automatic dialer.
Oh, okay.
So you just sit at the computer, and And then before that, actually, I worked in telemarketing doing, it was called Zentel. And they did, it was Shriners Circus. So Shriners, it was for charity, really.
Mm-hmm.
And you would sell these tickets for the circus. And I don't even remember. But I wasn't there very long, and I was really young. I was in high school. So, but yeah, telemarketing really prepared me for real estate. Yeah.
Is that the same method or strategy that you used in real estate too?
So yeah, actually, I brought a lot of what I learned in telemarketing into my career as a real estate agent, because the one thing that you learn as a telemarketer very early on is that you can't take things personally, right? Like, I've actually had people tell me that they're going to slit my throat.
Yeah, right?
And this is because I'm calling them for windows and doors.
Yeah.
And so you learn to kind of let things roll off your back really quickly. And that, I think, that's a lot of the problem with a lot of people when they're doing cold calls or just calling people in general. It's hard to take the rejection. And so it kind of weighs you down. But one of the coaches that I used to work with said to me, sorry, I have something in my eye, said to me, when you're calling, what you should be doing is counting the no's. So that way you know you're closer to the yes. And so it's taking the negative and flipping it to a positive. So that way you're not getting bogged down by all the rejection, right? So, but the telemarketing really did kind of set me in the right direction when I started doing the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of cold calling.
Yeah. We know that. Yeah, when at least I entered into financial sector, like I know what you felt. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same. Yeah, the people say no. You have to take a lot of no's, and then one day S came, and then after that continues S. Right.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so during these initial days of real estate, where is your husband? Like, what's he up to then? He's working somewhere, or?
Yeah. So my husband, he's had a very interesting journey as well. But when I started in real estate, he was a 911 dispatcher. And it was it worked for us at the time because he did nights and I did days. But when I started doing the real estate and my career picked up, we immediately felt like, okay, we need to integrate you into this somehow. And he became a mortgage agent. And once he became a mortgage agent, we just started to work together and have a team. So that way it can be like a one-stop sort of shop. I feel like a lot of people appreciate when your mortgage agent is so close to you. Like, the fact that we work in the same office makes things so easy. A client sends me a home. They want to know, can I afford this because the property taxes are high? I'm sending it to Grupinder. He's running the numbers. I'm getting the answer right away, because we work in the same office. So it gives clients a different type of experience with a realtor. Most realtors can't provide that sort of, quick sort of rundown of numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
So how was your day start then? How will your day started? Like every day, you had to support your husband, your kids by the time, and then you had to go for house visiting tour. Right?
You mean when I started or right now?
No, not now. In initial
In the
days,
beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah.
In the beginning, we structured, so I'm a very regimented type of person. And so I felt like if I'm going to be doing this full time, I need to be somewhere. I can't work at home. I tried to work at home, and I converted my lash studio to my office. And so we kind of structured it in the beginning when I was working from home, where I would, do all my calling and that, and he would ultimately be sleeping until he would leave in the evening. And as I mentioned, my first year was horrible, so I didn't really go anywhere, right? I would go door knocking every other day, And I did a lot of things that just was not actually doing anything, which was why I knew that there was something. It felt like something was blocking me, because I was calling every single day. I was door knocking every other day. I was working with a coach, paying for a coach. Coaches are expensive, and nothing was happening. And I know that I'm a great person. You meet me, you can see that I'm genuine. And so I was just like, what's going on?
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, the point is that yes, every single day I would be, working at my business. My husband would be sleeping. He would leave for work, and then I would take care of the kids. He's leaving around like 6 or 7, not 7 in the evening. So it gave me a lot of time to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, this industry was too competitive when you started, right? I would say competitive in the sense I will leave, like the entire market, just in terms of gender basis, right? Let's go with gender basis first. Not many women are in this long back, I think.
Mm-hmm. This is
It's
true.
male dominated kind of, I would say.
Yes.
I don't know how it is now, but initially it should be.
For me, I am a very strong woman, and so it didn't matter to me. I have the mindset of like, if you put your mind to it, you could do anything. So it didn't, imagine I lived in Brampton and I wanted to become a real estate agent. Like everybody and their mom was a real estate agent in Brampton. So super oversaturated.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, there was a very male dominant, but it didn't matter to me because I knew this is the direction that God wanted me to go to. So I had faith that, I just need to be patient and it will all work out, and have no plan B, and just really rely on the Lord, because I quit lashes and I'm just like, Lord, you gotta come through here.
So is there any strategy that you implemented to beat the competition? Or before, I want to say Bharat, right? Bharat is here, right? So I have too many friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
People ask me, like friends come to me, hey, you know what, you bought the house, can you give me the name of your agent, whatever, blah, blah, right? And every time I give the name, okay, so Sindee, this is our agent, right? And then they know her, actually.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, like 90% of the people ask me, I was like, okay, she's my.
Did they
okay,
know
she's
through?
my-
Sorry.
I'll refer them to the
Mhm.
to the website, Kira Group, right? And then say, oh, she's already our agent. Yeah, she's our agent, right? So
The funny story about recently, so that name that you had referred
Yes,
me,
yeah.
you know how I know him? So what had happened was, so you gave me the name and I called him, right? And I was like, hey, Ashok has referred me to you. I just, wanted to reach out, see how I can help. And it happened that he was the, so I had a listing that was in a building and it sold to him. He bought it. And his agent, I hope he doesn't hear this, but his agent wasn't able to sell his unit because he bought my listing conditional on the sale of his home. And so that's how I knew him. And when I called him, he was like, wait, you're Sindee Kara? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think you're the agent for the house that I already bought. I was like, oh. I'm like, well, don't worry. We're going to get your place sold. Because I told his agent, like, don't worry. I'm going to help you. We're going to collaborate together. Because in order for my sale to go through, his had to sell, right? So I was like, no worries. We're going to do it. We're going to get together. We're going to get this sold. So, and that's what I told the referral as well. Like, don't worry, I'm going to get this sold for you.
Mhm.
But then it happened that I did some more marketing and I got another offer in, and then it didn't work out.
So he didn't know you through telemarketing.
No, he didn't know me through my telemarketing.
Just curious, like, have you had any clients through your telemarketing? Like, you might have contacted them from telemarketing in the past, but have you met them? Okay.
No. You know what? If I'm honest with you, I don't know that I'd really remember any of those loyal SEAL clients, because the extent of my contact with them is, do you want to make an appointment? Oh, yeah? Okay. When? Tomorrow? Perfect. Done. You know what I mean? I'm not really building rapport, you're building rapport because that's the only way really to be able to get a result, right? But it wasn't like a deep rapport where they felt like they knew me or whatnot. But even when I first started, that was why I felt like I was having no success.